I'm Melinda Hindenburger, and this is the video version of Politics Daily's Woman Up Women's Blog. Today, we're going to talk about the biggest political event of the week. Obama in China? No, silly you. Of course, it's Sarah Palin's interview with Oprah, which is airing this afternoon, and tomorrow's release of her already best-selling book, Going Rogue. A recent Gallup poll suggested that we like following her, but don't take her all that seriously as a presidential contender. 63% of those polled said they would not even consider voting for her. An opinion piece in the Wall Street Journal helpfully points out that, hey, she's not as unpopular as John Edwards, and asks whether this isn't in fact the beginning of a triumphant political comeback. But is that a real possibility or wishful thinking from not only Republicans, but reporters who can't get enough of her? Patricia Murphy, is this a real possibility, a political comeback?
My point about Sarah Palin, her story is still being written. We don't know what's going to happen with her. What we do know is that people are obsessed with her. They can't stop watching her. They can't stop reading what she writes. They can't stop talking about her. And for a politician, that is the best thing that you could have going for you. And speaking of polling, there's been a bunch of polls about her. But a CNN poll conducted about 3 weeks ago, so it's not an old poll, 64% said that she's a good role model for women. That's the kind, that's the kind of response that any pollster would give $1 million for. So I think a comeback, very possible. How about that?
And Rhea Misra, why are we so obsessed with her? What is it about her that keeps us so riveted and keeps us coming back?
Well, I think Sarah Palin's definitely a politician who's at her most popular when she's not talking about politics. She's really more of a celebrity at this point, and that's how we interact with her. We want to know what what's going on with her family, what she's wearing, what she's eating, what she's doing. And of course, we want to know about her feud with her son-in-law. We want to hear more about her personal relationships than we do about her politics.
Helena Andrews, you wrote a piece for us in Politics Daily yesterday about her book. What do you expect us to learn from this tome?
Well, I think what people will be surprised that isn't in the book, which probably wouldn't be surprising from a political standpoint, is that she doesn't say anything about her play son-in-law, because it's not her real son-in-law. She doesn't say anything about Levi Johnston. She doesn't mention him in the book. She doesn't mention the scandal. She does mention how she felt when she found out that her oldest daughter, Bristol, was pregnant, but she doesn't give him any FaceTime in the book, which people found pretty interesting. And what she does talk about, which is also, I think, strategic on her part, is she talks about the Katie Couric interview. She says that she felt badgered, and she says that she actually had some really good segments that ended up on the cutting room floor. So it seems like she is gearing up for some type of political comeback and explaining herself and explaining those maybe gotcha moments from 2008, and she is trying to sweep them under the rug and come out in a different light.
And reintroduce herself to the public. Bonnie Erbe, what do you see as her most likely future? Where do you see this going?
Well, clearly she's running for president in 2012. But I would also like to refer back, if I could, to the Oprah interview, because in it she says, you just talked about how she didn't mention Levi in the book, but she was asked by Oprah, would you invite him for Thanksgiving dinner? And she said, oh, we'd love to have him. We'd love to. He really needs some love, and it'd be so great for him to see what a beautiful child he has. This a guy who 2 months earlier had said that she and her husband were on the point of divorce during the Republican convention where she was nominated as vice president, where he said that she's not a parent at all, that the kids in the Palin family all take care of themselves because the parents are either fighting or gone. I can't imagine, and I think to say something like, yeah, we'd love to have him for Thanksgiving dinner, points to her complete lack of credibility as a politician.
But putting the best possible face on things and on a perhaps difficult family situation does not put her out of touch with the mainstream, not only with other
But why
politicians.
are we listening to Levi Johnston, who is posing for Playgirl as a 19-year-old?
Right.
I don't want to call him illiterate, but I've read some of his work, and it's not the most impressive.
I mean,
yeah, and I want to say, I cover the Republican convention. The effect that Sarah Palin has on women and conservative Republicans is very real, and I think reporters write it off as a joke or as some sort of uninformed, uneducated response to a woman who is attractive and has great one-liners. It's a very, very real response that they have to her. And again, going back to the type of response you want a politician to have. That's the response that politicians need to have to be successful. She's polling ahead of Mitt Romney, ahead of people like Tim Palin, who's already ready to spend millions of dollars.
Huckabee?
She's real. She's 4 points behind Huckabee.
Yeah, but
And that's
I
within
would
striking
say I would
distance.
say that her appeal is not just to women, but completely to the religious right and to some independent business women, but certainly not to progressive Democrat
Not at
women.
all. She certainly lacks
a
broad
very
support.
populist appeal.
Yeah.
But I totally agree, having covered that convention also. I saw women in tears. They were so happy to see someone who they saw as like themselves finally representing their party.
And my friends who aren't political like her very much, which again, I think most people would write that off as not an informed response, but those people are voting too.
And those people like someone like Sarah Palin more than they like us, smarty pants, right? So is it a positive for Sarah Palin that she's been pilloried, that she hasn't been treated very well in the press, that she has gotten pretty rough treatment? I think she uses that to her advantage.
She gets to play the martyr often. And if you see her, Bonnie spoke about the religious right. Well, HarperCollins is publishing the book also under a religious imprint. So obviously they know that that's her get as well. And look at her book tour, where she's going. She's not going to Los Angeles. She's not going to New York. I doubt she's coming to D.C. She's going to like Roanoke. She's going to
She's not
Iowa.
dummy.
She's,
Right.
yeah, I know.
She's balls.
She is playing to her strengths, and it's working for her. The book hasn't even come out yet, and it's already top on Amazon.
And
You know,
that
we
can't just be religious right buying that
Exactly.
book. I mean, the numbers she's getting are impressive.
But we talked last week about people not paying, voters not paying attention and electing based on personality and what the politicians promise you, as opposed to looking to whether they can realistically deliver on those promises or whether they really intend to deliver on those promises. And I think if she gets the nomination, I think that's Obama's best chance in 2012, because I think she'd be much easier for him to beat than a Huckabee or a Romney.
Well, I think liking her and voting for her for president are two different things.
Yeah,
and it's easy this far out to give her the stamp of approval before we get into the meat of the campaign, given what we saw last time. But Rhea, you haven't.
Well, book sales are not votes. You know,
That's right.
In fact, I'll probably buy the book, and I'm sure that a lot of my
Are
friends
you
will buy it.
kidding? I wouldn't dream of missing it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I want to know what she says, and I think everybody wants to know what she says. But the people that want to know what she says are not necessarily the people who are going to support her.
Yeah, and the same CNN poll that people think she's a good role model for their daughters, 7 in 10 said she's not qualified to be president. So she's going to need to buck up on her skills, her knowledge. It's too bad she quit her job, because maybe she would have been qualified.
Right. Okay, well, we are out for this week. See you next time at Woman Up. Thank you very much.